Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in Rome today and said he is optimistic that the fighting in Ukraine can come to a close. Just a few hours earlier in Paris, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said this.
We're not going to continue to fly all over the world and do meeting after meeting after meeting if no progress is being made. So if they're serious about peace, either side or both, we want to help. If it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on.
Ukraine says it has signed a memorandum of intent with the U.S. in an initial step towards agreeing on a minerals deal. Now, according to Ukraine's deputy economic minister, a new round of negotiations between Washington and Kyiv is set to take place next week. CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman joins us now. Willie, what is President Trump saying about all of this?
Hey there, Lindsay. Good to be with you this afternoon. Well, President Trump says he wants to see enthusiasm on both sides, that enthusiasm to end the war, that is. And he spoke about this situation a few moments ago in the Oval Office. Let's listen to what he had to say.
If for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that.
He was also asked whether or not he's being played by the Russians, and he said, quote, "Nobody is playing me." That exchange with reporters taking place a few moments ago in the Oval Office as the president goes about his day here in Washington, as we wait and see in terms of those negotiations about how this will play out. Remember that minerals deal fell apart in that Oval Office spat between the Vice President J.D. Vance, the president of Ukraine, President Zelensky, and Trump, that happened several weeks ago. Lindsay.
Let's talk about the talks between the U.S. and Iran. The United Nations nuclear watchdog says they are at a, quote, crucial stage. What is the administration saying ahead of the next round of meetings, which is set to take place tomorrow in Rome?
Yeah, that's right. We know that the two nations are meeting indirectly or directly. We know that they met for about 2 hours in Oman. That was last week. Now, this would be a continuation of those conversations. And President Trump mentioned in the Oval Office that he wants to see the entire nuclear program dismantled. This comes as there are reports that folks within his administration want those military options on the table to take out the Iranian nuclear program, the potential for an Iranian nuclear program. But the White House is moving forward with these conversations. Only time will tell what will come about. The Iranians say they want a fair deal as the Trump administration works to have those conversations. And I want to bring up a statement from the national security spokesperson, Brian Hughes. Part of that statement says President Trump has been clear Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and all options remain on the table. As I mentioned, those military options are certainly something that's being discussed within the Trump administration. And it then goes on to say the president has authorized direct and indirect discussions. And essentially, the latter part of the statement says the Trump administration's entire national security leadership team is committed to the president's posture on Iran, Lindsay.
Willie, President Trump says the U.S. is in talks with China on a tariff deal. This seems like big news to me. What can you tell us?
Yeah, big news to us here indeed, as well as the Chinese officials say that there are no conversations, no major conversations at the top level happening between the United States and China. President Trump mentioned this just yesterday. He didn't clarify in terms of what those conversations are or if he is indeed talking with President Xi about his tariff plan that he's pushed on China. And Kevin Hassett was asked about this earlier today, the economic advisor, and he said he didn't have anything to add in terms of those ongoing conversations or whether or not they're happening at the top level. But still, nonetheless, Lindsay, these are certainly two leaders that perhaps need to speak sometime soon, as markets have been rattled by the president's tariff push. China retaliated, so you have a quite significant 125% tariff rate, 145% rather, if you include those reciprocal tariffs on Chinese goods being exported here to the United States, Lindsay.
All right, Willie James Inman, thank you so much.